Okay, so to set the stage, we've got the Supreme Court about to hear arguments on whether or not to ban TikTok. And this isn't just some hypothetical debate, the clock is ticking. We're talking about a law that could kick in as early as January 19th, unless the Supreme Court steps in.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
So let's back up for a second. For folks who might not be following every twist and turn, what's the deal with this ban? Why is Congress so riled up about TikTok in the first place?
Well, the heart of the matter is that Congress passed a law demanding that ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, divest from TikTok or face a complete ban here in the U.S.
ByteDance?
Yeah.
That's the Chinese company, right?
Exactly. And that's where things get tricky because lawmakers are worried that the Chinese government could get their hands on U.S. user data through ByteDance.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal. For starters, what's TikTok's main line of defense? How are they fighting back against this ban?
Well, their biggest argument is that banning TikTok would be a blatant violation of the First Amendment rights of millions of Americans. They're saying it would be like silencing a massive public forum where people express themselves, share ideas, and connect with each other.
I can see their point. It does feel like a slippery slope. If the government can ban one social media platform, what's to stop them from banning others?
Exactly, and that's a concern that a lot of free speech advocates are raising. But on the flip side, the government's arguing that national security trumps those concerns.
So it's a classic clash of values. Freedom of speech versus national security, all playing out in the digital age.
And it's a tough one to call. There are valid points on both sides.
So a gradual digital blackout for TikTok in the US, that would be a massive blow to the millions of users who rely on it for entertainment, connection, and even income.
Absolutely. And it would also send shockwaves through the tech industry, raising questions about the future of other foreign-owned social media platforms.
It's a lot to unpack, and we're just getting started.
Oh, there's so much more to this story.
We've got conspiracy theories, legal battles, even a former president trying to insert himself into the mix.
It's like a real-life political thriller playing out on our phones.
So stick with us as we go deeper into this TikTok saga in our next part. So as the Supreme Court gets ready to hear arguments, they're not just deciding the fate of one app, right? They're grappling with these huge questions about the future of the internet itself, how we balance power in the digital age.
Exactly. And their decision, it could have ripple effects way beyond TikTok. It could set a precedent for how governments around the world deal with these social media giants, especially the ones with ties to foreign countries.
It's a lot to take in. We've got conspiracy theories, stock market chaos, and this whole geopolitical tug of war. How are they going to defend this ban?
They'll double down on the data security issue. They'll say, look, even if we don't have proof of wrongdoing right now, the potential for China to abuse this data is just too big to ignore. They'll point to China's history with censorship, surveillance, and argue that they can't afford to take that risk.
So it's all about protecting American data, preventing foreign interference, playing up the national security angle.
Exactly. And they'll probably say that those safeguards TikTok's proposing, they just don't cut it. The root problem is that ByteDance, a Chinese company, still has the ultimate control. And that, they'll say, is a non-starter.
So it comes down to this. Do you trust a foreign company with the data of millions of Americans, or do you take drastic measures to protect national security? What if the Supreme Court decides to strike down the ban? What kind of message would that send?
That would be a huge victory for TikTok, a real blow to the government's attempts to regulate those foreign tech companies. It would reaffirm those First Amendment protections online and show a reluctance to restrict online speech based on what-ifs and maybes.
And wouldn't it also send a signal to other countries that are thinking about doing the same thing to U.S. tech companies?
Absolutely. It would set a global precedent, basically emboldening those tech companies to push back against government control and strengthening the argument for a more open, interconnected internet.